So the BBC did an interview with Elon Musk live on Twitter Spaces, and you guys, this was a total train wreck. We're going to jump into this interview in just 1 second. Before we do, though, a couple announcements. Make sure you head on over to jamesklug.locals.com. Join the community. We have over 500 members, I think around 27 monthly supporters, and on our way to 50. If you guys want to support the channel, this is a fantastic way to do it. We have exclusive content dropping there now. Right here. Yesterday dropped the Locals exclusive post-filming wrap-up of my last video post. People react to Donald Trump's arrest. You can also communicate with me here. A lot of great things going on, behind-the-scenes stuff. Go join today. Link in the description below. It's actually free to join, so just do it anyways. And then if you want to help support the channel, you can become a monthly supporter. And then also, we do have After Hours dropping May 7th. It's my car channel. And it's going to be posting once a week. It's a little break away from politics. If you're into cars, this is the channel for you. After Hours with James Klug, link down below. Go subscribe. We're almost at 600 subscribers right now. I'd like to get to 1,000 before our first episode drops. We've already finished the first episode. It's going to be a great time. So go subscribe over there. So let's jump into this. We have Elon Musk tweeting out April 12th, tweeting out saying, "I said BBC could come to Twitter. Then, to my surprise, a reporter shows up. Very interesting. Doing a Twitter Spaces interview in 10 minutes with the James Clayton of BBC." Now, this is, I will say, respect to James for even saying that they can do a Twitter Spaces or even like signing up to do a Twitter Spaces interview. But that's about all the props I'm going to give this guy. We have a Daily Caller kind of wrap up of some of the viral clips from this interview. And you guys, when I'm saying that this was a train wreck or a car accident, whatever terminology you want to use, I'm not exaggerating. It was a disaster, and I'm surprised we're even getting video of this. Maybe Twitter actually filmed it or anything like that, but the fact that BBC filmed this and released this is shocking to me, probably because they had to, just because of the Twitter Spaces. Everyone already knew about it. But let's go ahead and just jump right in.
Free speech is meaningless unless you allow people you don't like to say things you don't like. Otherwise, it's irrelevant.
Correct.
And if at the point at which you lose free speech, it doesn't come back.
I think the issue some people have is that a lot of people were brought back. I mean, some people were brought back who were previously banned for spreading things like QAnon conspiracies. You have people like Andrew Tate who were brought back, who were previously banned for things like hate speech. Do you think you prioritize freedom of speech over misinformation and hate speech?
What a disingenuous question. That is not a good faith question at all. Why would you even ask that? Oh yeah, of course, man. I prioritize misinformation and quote unquote hate speech, whatever the hell that is, over just people speaking their minds about whatever it may be. First of all, if you have a journalist that's sitting across from you and they are using the term hate speech, that's not a journalist, that is an activist that you're talking to, obviously. Elon Musk has some great responses. It doesn't quite heat up here, but some good responses to this.
Well, you know, who's to say that something is misinformation? Who's the arbiter of that? Is it the BBC?
You're literally asking me?
Yes.
Well, no, you are the arbiter on Twitter because you own Twitter.
Yes, I'm saying who is to say that one person's misinformation is another person's information? At the point at which you say that there is this is misinformation, like who is going to decide that?
You accept that misinformation can be dangerous, that it can cause real-world harms, that it can potentially cause.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is that the BBC itself has at times published things that are false.
It's a great question. I mean, who is the arbiter of truth? Who is it? Because as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to things that have been labeled as misinformation over the last, 2-3 years, just recent history, almost probably a majority of it's been true. You have all of this stuff, all of these lies that the mainstream media got behind, that the state got behind, when it came to COVID, when it came to Hunter Biden's laptop. You could go down the list of examples of things that are labeled misinformation, and they really only label those as misinformation as a weapon to deter the rest of the population from listening in. And then, a year goes by and it gets completely disproven. So who is the arbiter of truth? Great question.
Do you agree that has occurred?
I'm quite sure the BBC have said things before that turn out to not be true.
Correct.
In its, whatever it is, 100-year history, I'm quite sure.
Yes.
Ban them.
Even if you aspire to be accurate, there are times when you will not be.
We've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company. Is that
What
something
hate
that you
speech
want
are you
to
talking
address?
about? I mean, you use Twitter.
Right.
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
But just a personal anecdote. Like, what do you? I don't.
Personally, my for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content. Yeah, personally.
Oh no, I feel so bad. It's interesting for me personally. Since Elon Musk has taken over, I've been exposed in the For You page and on Twitter to more liberals and like liberal commentators just popping up randomly. I feel like it's become less of an echo chamber. And that's probably what this guy's getting at, right? That's probably what he's getting at here, is when you look at your opposition and everything they say you disagree with and it's an attack on your person, therefore it's hate speech, that's what he's probably seeing. He's probably seeing other people talking that he doesn't believe should have a voice. That's what hate speech is, right? He's not going to define it. Hate speech is speech that he hates. It is speech that he wants to censor. That's what hate speech is. That's all it's ever been.
But I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
So you
But
see more
personally,
hate speech personally.
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think
Again, in your opinion, slightly racist, slightly sexist, inflammatory rhetoric. Let's just say that. That doesn't exist on Facebook, Instagram, anywhere else? That doesn't exist on YouTube. This is a conversation. What's interesting about this is a conversation that's very unique to Twitter right now. Twitter is in the crosshairs when it comes to the state, when it comes to the media, because there are things being said on Twitter that is not in line with the mob or the approved rhetoric from the state. How creepy is that?
if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
Well,
saying.
I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content. And I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples.
Right.
Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
You
don't.
can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why. Because I don't actually use that for you.
Oh.
feed anymore because I just don't particularly like it.
Would you say
I've noticed an uptick, and I can't give you an example. And then also the reason why I can't give you an example is because I don't use it. Holy hell, dude.
Actually, a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang
my,
on a
my
second.
following.
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and
Well, then how did you see that hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen the for you hateful content.
One.
I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
Then I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
You guys keep in mind, this was live on Twitter. People were listening to this. Millions of people were listening to this bloodbath. I'm going to rewind really quick right here just because this part's great, because he's so shocked that Elon says, you don't know what you're talking about.
Then I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
Yes, because you can't give me a single example of hateful content,
Yes.
not even one tweet. And yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
That's false.
No.
Yes, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. You clearly don't know. You're making a point. You're saying this is increased. You're saying stuff that is slightly racist, slightly sexist, whatever that means. You're saying that hate speech is on the rise, whatever that means. Give one example, and you can't. Yes, you don't know what you're talking about. You do not know what you're talking about.
What I claimed,
you just lied.
What I claimed was there are many organizations that say that that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my
Give me
feed
one
or
example.
not, I mean, right, and
Literally
you can
can't
look at
name
something
one.
like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK. They will say that. So
Look, people will say all sorts of nonsense. I'm literally asking for a
Right.
single example, and you can't name one.
right, and as I already said, I don't use that feed. But
Well, then how would you know?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so the timeline. Notice how he's like shifting the goalposts and shifting the conversation. He said he's seen it himself, and then he said he can't give an example, and then he said he can't give an example because he hasn't seen it in a bit, and then he said, well, other people are saying it. What the heck kind of interview is this? This is.
And as I said,
That's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know
this
there's hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time.
Let's move on. I am getting destroyed here. Let's move on. That was probably the most brutal 2 minutes of an interview I have seen in the last year.
Wow.
COVID misinformation. You
Amazing.
changed the COVID misinformation
Has
rules.
BBC changed its COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
I'm literally asking you about, you changed the labels, the COVID misinformation labels. There used to be a policy, it then disappeared. Why do that?
Well, COVID is no longer an issue.
Why do that? Well, first of all of the quote misinformation, or so much of it surrounding COVID, ended up blowing up in their faces. But yes, he's right. It's not an issue right now. It's not an issue, and therefore, how long do you want it to stay there for? What, next 2 years? 3 years? 5 years? I mean, you have right here, how many examples do you have of things like this? Biden signs bill ending COVID national emergency. Things are changing. What a ridiculous question. Just an absurd question.
Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations, and not reporting on that at all?
Masking, lockdown effectiveness, transmission, all of that stuff. Unlikely that they have.
And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, you thought it wasn't?
And I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. You want to talk about the
interviewing you
BBC?
too.
All right, let's talk about something else.
You weren't expecting that.
No, you weren't expecting that. You were not expecting that. I bet he seriously regrets doing that Twitter space. I bet he seriously regrets that. I love that you can see, though, once Elon Musk realizes that, oh, this is an activist that I'm talking about, and he's going on the offense, Elon does such a fantastic job at putting him on defense. I mean, these are absurd questions in and of themselves that it's not even they're not even good faith questions that he's asking. He's really just trying to pin Elon on the fact that there's a rise of hate on his platform, right? A rise in hateful posts on his platform without providing any examples of it. He wasn't prepared. Brutal interview, but Elon does a fantastic job in this exchange. This has to go down as probably, certainly 2023 best interview so far. This was a bloodbath, and this guy, Mr. James, was absolutely not ready. We'll end it on this meme right here just because I saw it. I thought it was really funny. We have Elon Musk with the BBC. Hit that play button. Anyways, you guys, let me know what you think about this video down in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about this interview down in the comment section below. I will put a full link down in the description so you guys can check that out. But if you guys enjoyed this video, you want to see more, make sure you hit that like button, so hit subscribe for more videos, and hit that bell notification button so you're notified next time I post, and I will catch you all in the next video. All right, that's enough. We'll catch you guys later.